What's good? It's your boy Jay. That's me. Let's dive into AEW Dynamite from December the 6th, 2023. But before we get into the show, we gotta go over a small bit of news. So, Kevin Sullivan got fired from AEW. And no, I'm not talking about the wrestling legend Kevin Sullivan. I'm talking about the Kevin Sullivan who used to work for Impact. So, basically, according to Meltzer, former VP of post-production Kevin Sullivan was let go by AEW on Monday, with senior vice president and co-executive producer Mike Manzari. So that's not good. I don't know why he got fired. I really don't. He did do some really good vignettes and packages and stuff for YouTube when he was in TNA at the time. I don't know, man. AEW just seems like a sinking ship, and it has no vision. It really has no vision at all. I don't know why this happened. I don't know. Maybe there was a mistake that he made or something. Who knows? But this isn't good. AEW is losing people left and right. Backstage people, obviously. Wrestlers are leaving. It's not a good time for AEW. It's not. And I wish that the AEW diehards would get their heads out of the sand like ostriches and actually open up their eyes and realize that AEW is really on life support. And it's not good right now. It's not in a good place. It's just not. Tony Khan needs to be removed from creative and just fund AEW. That's it. Tony Khan needs to be removed from creative. Completely removed from creative. I don't care that he is the face of the company. It doesn't matter. He needs to hire a team of writers and a team of bookers who know what they're doing. The inmates are running the asylum, and it makes zero sense. AEW has no structure at all. None. And that is never a good thing. It's never a good thing when wrestlers do what they want to do. You can't have an environment like that. You cannot. That is what's killing AEW. AEW has a plethora of problems. And the main one is Tony Khan. Number 2, the Elite. Number 3, a bloated roster. Those are just some of the issues with AEW off the top of my head that I can think of. But Tony Khan has got to be removed. He's got to. The man does not know what he's doing. He does not know what he's doing. This is a business. This is not playing universe mode on 2K23 or 2K19 or 2K20 or 2K22. This is real life. These wrestlers are not your toys. These wrestlers are return on investments. That's what they are. You want a return on your investment. Tony Khan needs to be removed. He just does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan. He can't book stories. He doesn't have any good characters outside of a few. ROH is dying. Well, it's been dead. He tried to revive it. It's not going to work. Dynamite's failing. Collision's failing. Rampage is failing. It's Tony Khan who's the issue. He's the issue. He just needs to focus on running AEW financially. Bring in writers and a booker or two who know exactly what they're doing. Cancel Collision. Cancel Rampage. Put Ring of Honor in the spot of Rampage. Use ROH like an NXT. And you have Dynamite, and that's it. If I was booking this, if I was running things, we wouldn't have a Collision, nor would we have a Rampage. Ring of Honor would be the developmental. The main roster would just be Dynamite. AEW has too much talent, and they don't know what to do with it. Tony Khan has no idea what to do with it. It is time for them to do some releases. It's time. They have got to do releases. I'm not talking about quiet releases or anything like that. They've got to do releases. They've got to. I don't give a damn what these geeks online cry about. Look, it's no longer 2021 anymore. Okay? You need to release people that you do not have plans for. People that you cannot get your return on investment for. You have to do that. Because this is a business at the end of the day. And AEW has failed for a long time. It's not good. And I want AEW to succeed. I want them to succeed. And I want AEW to do better. And it needs to. And it can. But if Tony Khan and the Elite are not removed, you will see the death of AEW. And I don't want that. I don't. Let's just go ahead and get into this show. So, we kicked the show off with the first match of the night. That being the Continental Classic. Gold League. Jon Moxley versus Roos. A hard-hitting match. Jon Moxley wins via the rear naked choke. So that's fine there. Moving on. So we get a video package from Jay Lethal and Jay White. Most of this stuff took place in Ring of Honor. So there's a small bit of story there, but it's not really that important. Because Ring of Honor, even then, was a dead promotion. Moving on. So Renee Paquette welcomes Roderick Strong in the Kingdom to the stage. So Roddy says that it's obvious that MJF will betray Samoa Joe. Roddy says that actions have consequences, and Samoa Joe will learn that tonight. Roddy makes it clear that every decision has a consequence, and he points to himself as an example. He says he will live with the consequences of his decisions, but he gets out. But he gets out of the chair, and Roddy refuses to be held back by the wheelchair. He says it has held him back for far too long. So I don't know what that meant. It's just who the fuck knows, man? Who knows? Again, I'm under the impression that the devil is more than likely going to be Jack Perry. And you'll probably have Adam Cole along with the Kingdom and probably Kyle O'Reilly being a part of it, and maybe even Wardlow as well. So that's just how I feel about everything when it comes to this whole devil thing. Moving on. So Renee Paquette, she runs into Hangman Page. Hangman says that he could not fly for a few weeks. He says that Swerve broke into his home. And he says that him and Swerve have unfinished business. They're far from over. Okay, but my question would be, what match could you guys do to top that match? Seriously. What tops a Texas Death Match? What? Because I can't think of anything. What would end this feud? You can't continue this feud past World's End. I don't know. So, MJF, he interrupts. He talks about maybe Swerve and Hangman got STDs. So, tensions start to rise between the two of them. So, Page looked back on the last time they faced off years ago. MJF brags about beating Page for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. MJF notes that his world title reign has been longer than Page's. Hangman says that MJF will be proud when he's 70 years old, and along with 9 cats. MJF fires back by saying he thinks that Page is the devil. Page accuses MJF of being the devil. And then Samoa Joe interrupts and tells MJF to focus on their match. Okay, this is fine there. I do like this to an extent. At least they're continuing the Hangman and Swerve story. So that's good. But then again, how do you end the feud? I don't know. And Swerve needs to win the tournament anyway. He's the only guy that makes sense. Speaking of Swerve Strickland defeated Mark Briscoe via the Swerve Stomp. So he advances. So he now has 9 points. So him and Moxley are tied. They'll face each other next week at Winter is Coming. Cool. Moving on. So Mariah May is in a backstage interview. She says that her AEW in-ring debut is coming, but she doesn't provide any details other than saying that they wanted to make it big as possible and that she's still a big fan of Toni Storm. So I like that. Next, Samoa Joe and MJF versus the Devil's Masked Men. So Samoa Joe comes to the ring. He is surrounded by the Devil's Masked Men. They surround the ring. Lights go out. They come back on. Joe's by himself. The Devil appears on the screen. MJF is shown laid out backstage via a beer bottle to the back of the head. So that's pretty cool there. That is interesting. I do think that we will probably get a reveal of everyone at World's End. It has to happen. And I do hope that Samoa Joe does defeat MJF. It's time. Look, MJF needs to cough up that AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Why? Because MJF is injured. Same thing with Adam Cole. So your story right there is basically done for a while. So MJF needs to lose the title at World's End, and he can always come back and become champion again. But I think Samoa Joe would have a kick-ass reign as champion. Samoa Joe would have a kick-ass reign for sure. You can't convince me otherwise. Samoa Joe being AEW World Champion would be fucking awesome. And it would rule. Moving on. So, Jon Moxley says that he expected to be 3-0. And he expects to win the AEW Continental Classic. Swerve comes in and says he'll do whatever it takes to win. Okay, cool. Interesting stuff there. Swerve does need to win. And then you could And then you could do like a rematch at World's End where you have Swerve and Moxley being in the finals, and Swerve wins it all. So that's what might happen. Next, Tony Storm is introduced by Ben Mankiewicz. Mankiewicz. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Interesting stuff. I enjoyed it. Her and Sky Blue had a decent match, an okay match for the AEW Women's Championship. So there's a spot in the match where Sky Blue hit not one but two hip attacks, and then she hits the Code Blue for a long near fall, which that should have been the finish if we're being honest, but it wasn't. So Tony Storm retains by getting a roll up, which is always good. So that makes sense. So I'm glad that my girl's still champion. What I'm not glad about and I'm pissed off about is that Riho, she returned. So she comes out. She's probably about, at best, maybe 85 to 90 pounds. And her and Tony Storm, they start to have a little brawl scene, and then Luther, he gets Tony Storm out of Dodge. So that's fine there. Moving on. So we got a video package involving highlights of the feud between Christian Cage and Adam Copeland. That's fine there. Next, Jay White versus Jay Lethal. Jay White wins via a roll-up. So he now has 6 points. Jay Lethal, it seems like Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe were just brought in just to eat pins, which is what I expected from the start, because they weren't going to get any wins anyway. Again, I think that the finals could go either way. You could have Swerve and Moxley, Swerve and Danielson. But I just see it being Swerve and either Moxley or Danielson going into the finals. So that's just what I think. I would assume that I'm correct. Because Roosh is good, but he's not going to win anything. You know? Moving on. The main event. Christian Cage versus Adam Copeland. My bad. Christian Cage versus Edge. Yep. We're not going to call him by his government name. Christian Cage versus Edge. Pretty okay match, but we actually got a winner. And I didn't want that at all. This match should have not been on television for free. This could have easily taken place at World's End. This is the problem with Tony Khan. Don't do this stuff. Don't do this. I don't care if Edge requested this. I don't care that they're in Canada. I don't give a fuck about that. Don't give away matches like this that people have been invested in for a while. This is one of your biggest stories, and you gave it away like a clown because you don't know what you're doing. Don't give pay-per-view quality matches and stories away on free television. You don't do it. You do not do it. This clown went ahead and did it. So Christian Cage wins via the help of Nick Wayne's mom, Shayna Wayne. So she comes down. There's a spot in the match where both Edge and Christian attempt to do a double spear. It's evaded. And then Christian, he low blows the ref. So there's a ref bump. He's knocked out. Nick Wayne's mom comes out. She has the TNT Championship. She looks at Christian and she looks at Edge. she whacks Edge with the TNT Championship, and then Christian Cage hits the kill switch, and then he lays Edge on the TNT Championship. He stumps Edge's neck on it, and then he pins Edge 1, 2, 3, and Christian Cage celebrates, and we go off the air. I am not a fan of this. Why? Because we didn't need this match to take place on this show. This should have taken place at World's End. It should continue through Revolution in March of 2024. And it should end at Double or Nothing 2024. Give us a long-term feud. This makes zero sense. I doubt this will pop a rating because there was so much nonsense and garbage on the show that I doubt this will hit 1 million. It probably won't at all. Again, Tony Khan just continues to make asinine decisions, and he has no one to blame but himself. I feel bad for Edge. It would have been better off for Edge just to stay with WWE and retire at WrestleMania 40 and go off into the sunset. I don't know, man. I just don't know. But Edge and Christian is ruined. It's really ruined. It's ruined because who wants to see the rematch? Whether it's at World's End or whether it's at Revolution, who wants to see it again? And this is why you don't give away big matches and big stories on television. Your payoffs and stuff need to happen at pay-per-views. I don't know. This show was not good outside of Edge and Christian. I don't care about the Continental Classic. I just don't. It's either Swerve wins or bust. But AEW has a lot of issues right now. Has a lot of issues. But what did you guys think? Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.